What? Huh?
How sweet it is to be loved by you nerds. What is up? It's me, your buddy pal HeyArcher. Welcome back to HeyArcher Live here on Nerd Affiliated, here on a lovely Monday evening, here on a lovely St. Patrick's Day, and one day after the most celebrated day of all days, Austin 316 Day. So for the man, the myth, the legend, once again, hopefully by now you've poured yourself, even on a Monday, but it's St. Patrick's Day, so it doesn't really matter. You poured yourself just a little bit of,
More specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
and of course, drinking some Broken Skull from the one and only Steve Austin. Actually, I'm jealous because our guest of the evening lives in the great state of Texas, where they had a special edition all black Austin 316 can somewhere in the state. I have no idea where, but he's closer than I am. He had a better shot than I did, but I'm sure he missed it because he didn't know about it until just now. But if you guys have, if you guys have a can, tag me. But two, if you have a YouTube channel, podcast, blog, vlog, OnlyFans, newsletter, smoke signals, whatever it may be, put it in the chat. Support one another. Plug yo shit. Like I said, special edition Monday episode because your boy ain't gonna be here on Thursday. And I don't know if I said that last week, but apparently Kenobis also not gonna be here this week for his own live streams. So we're just doing this thing together. Just came together probably 25 minutes ago. But that's how we roll here on the show. So if you guys have a topic you want to talk about, put it in the chat, of course. Make sure you subscribe to the channel Kenobi. But as I say every week, without further ado, bringing the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, General Kenobi.
Hello there.
There you go. Love to see ya. Love to see ya. I feel like I say this all the time. It's been too long since you've been on the stream, sir.
Agreed,
How
man.
are you doing?
Good, apparently. I mean, the stars had to align and both you and I had to be out of town, for it to happen. But hey, call it a happy coincidence, It's the will of the force, in my mind. But good, man. Good to see you. Good to be here. Excited to finally not be on the controls for once. That's also refreshing.
Yep.
So if any mess ups, guys, that ain't me. Not this time.
It'd be me this time. It would be me.
Yes.
Yeah, excited. You know what it was? I was sitting back and I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, first of all, El Presidente of the House was like, please don't do a stream tomorrow because we leave on Wednesday. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll try to do today. But then I didn't want to because like Kenobi streams on Monday. So I texted you first just to be sure. And then you said no. And I was like, well, there you go. Destiny. Absolute destiny. Or as you said, the will of the force.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The force works in mysterious ways, guys.
It does.
But yeah, pretty much. And it's funny because, like I told you, I was like, man, it's just kind of last minute. But I'm not gonna be here for the rest of the week, starting tomorrow. And then when you said, I was like, are you gonna live stream tonight? And I was like, in my mind, I literally went to, I really should, because if not, like, I'm not gonna do anything. And then, but I was like, okay, let me ask him why, why,
Yeah.
what's going on. And so yeah, guys, it's actually literally no joke that we set this up like 30 minutes ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not even that. But yeah, man, excited to be here. Excited to hang out, here in the Nerd Affiliated headquarters. And agreed, man, it's been too long.
Yeah. So if you guys have not done so, make sure you guys head over to Instagram and give General Kenobi a follow. Again, disclaimer, the reason I don't follow him here is because I follow him on all my other Instagrams. So that's the only reason. For a lot of you, actually, people have asked me this question at sidebar. They're like, oh, I thought you followed me online. It's like every Instagram page, I try to follow different people so that every feed's not the same feed.
Yeah.
Only reason. But make sure you guys subscribe and follow Channel Kobe's Bunker on Instagram and of course over on YouTube. And you find us
Much
at
appreciated.
Nerd Affiliated on everything. Yeah, of course, of course. Let's say
Dude,
hi to
did
the
I
chat.
tell you? I don't know if I texted you. I don't think I texted you, but I found out that don't ask me how, but apparently I'm monetized on Instagram, and I made a whooping 43 cents
Yay,
this
let's
year.
go.
So I'm like, all right. Well, I was like, hey, first of all, I'll take it because
Mm-hmm.
I'm broke.
Mm-hmm.
But two, I was like, I kind of feel like somebody should have told me about this.
Yeah.
Like I was messing around with the settings on my account, and then I see monetization, but it's got like a little, like a how do you call it? Like an attention icon like on it, and I'm like, what's this? And I go in, and they're like, hey, you got to pay out, like, and I'm like, for what? And so I go in and it's literally see the point, $43. I was like, oh, let's go, bro. I was like, honey, we're going out to dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it turns out they don't pay you that low. But yeah, it's there, and I'm like, I kind of feel like I missed an email or like a
Take that as a
notification
win.
or
Take
dude,
that
yeah, I
as
was
a
like, but
win.
hey, I was like, I'll take it. But now I'm all paranoid because I'm like, oh, what generated those 43 cents? And I've been trying to look into it and I can't find it. Because I'm like, hey, more of that. I just need
Yeah.
like 5 more of those, and I can buy a soda. So I'm like, I'm golden.
Yeah.
But yeah, weird stuff.
With this inflation, you might get maybe a can of soda. You won't be able to get a full
Yeah, right.
bottle.
No kidding.
Just a can.
Yeah, and like no name brand.
Yeah.
Like we got down here on HEB. It's got its own brands. HEB is our grocery store, local here to Texas.
Uh-huh.
And so they got, like Dr. Pibb, instead of Dr. Pepper,
Yep.
like that kind of stuff, So that's what I grew up on. So I'm actually not hating on that. I actually love those, but I'm just saying like you'll get the store brand,
Yeah. We used to have I mean, it might still be a thing. I think it was like Royal Cola or King Cola or something
Yeah.
like that in New York. And I actually used
Nice.
to prefer that over Pepsi and Coke. I was like, oh, this is like
Yeah,
way
dude.
better.
Yeah. Yeah, because they don't got to follow international regulations or anything. So they just throw
Yeah.
anything in there.
Just straight
It's
poison.
delicious.
Didn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's say hi to the chat. Say hi to everybody who we surprised with a live stream today. Rambling Nerd, of course. What day is it? I'm so confused. Yeah, we're all confused. He's confused.
Exactly.
I'm confused. You guys are confused. Exactly. That's
That's
what we're
kind of
doing.
how we go through life, though.
Just confused. Yeah. Ultra Carter in the house. Good to see you.
What's up, Ultra?
You working on that WWE Elite? Awesome. Everything hi to each other. Man collects in the house. Yep.
Hey, Chris, what up?
It's like that movie with Adam Sandler, right? Like you guys, by accident, you blinked and a whole week went by, and you're like, "Whoa, what happened?" Like it just, was that Click? No, was it Click? I think it is Clicked.
Oh yeah,
you can fast forward and stuff.
Yeah, the fast forward, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Classic.
Brooklyn School beer is great. It's the only, and this isn't because I'm a fan of Austin, as you guys know, but it's the only non stout beer I like, because usually I'm a stout and porter type of drinker.
Oh, look at you.
And I don't like IPAs. Yeah, it's the only one.
Yeah, it must be nice to be so young. Then you don't get heartburn with that stuff. I do, so I'm like, just water and seltzers. That's about it.
I think I'm older than you.
No.
Are we gonna out each other? Are we gonna out each other on years?
I can go first if you want.
All right, what do you got?
I'm 86.
85.
What? What?
Staying young.
Guys, I was gonna say, apparently I've been doing it all wrong.
The secret's in the booze, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I also gonna need you to email me your skincare routine, because dang, son.
Yeah, I told you. I knew it. I sensed it in the force.
Yeah, well, I
think I have a couple more grays.
Gray and stuff. And
no, I think I have a couple more than you, and I already lost my hair. You're good.
I thought that was a style thing.
I'll just say it's a style thing.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
But I think at this point, you're good. If you're good at that 80, year of our Lord 86, if that's your birth year and you still have all that hair there, I think you're good. You're safe. You're lucky.
Thanks, man. I actually have too much hair tonight. I need a haircut bad, but yeah.
I know a guy.
There you go. I love it.
Everybody saying hi to each other. Love that. Kenobi. I mean, Kenobi. You are Kenobi. Anthony
I
says he
am.
wants to talk about Spider-Man, so maybe we could bring that up in a little bit. Yeah, the All-Star show. There you go. Now we need Man Collects to join one day.
I know,
He
right?
has the invite.
When's that happening, Chris? What the heck?
He has the invite.
Keep
Ultra
waiting.
Carter said, surprised it went live instead of usual 8. We were surprised it went live early instead of usual 8 p.m. I was confused by that because everybody was talking about John Cena tonight. And back when we were kids,
Everybody.
yeah, everybody. But when we were kids, Raw went live at 8 p.m. Eastern. So I guess now it goes earlier, 7 p.m. or something. I don't know, 6 p.m. for you.
Well, yeah, because again, the target demographic, is older. We go to bed earlier, so
Yeah. But now with John Cena being back in the spotlight, they need the kid views, so they're
that
going
is
live a
true.
little earlier. Yeah. Kids love John Cena. Graph Collects, yeah, streaming out of nowhere. That's what we're doing. LeBron Fett in the house. And actually that button
Hey,
also
what up,
for
LeBron?
Craft Collects.
Oh yeah.
RC Cola. That's another one. Did you ever have RC Cola?
Yeah. Good job.
Mhm.
I read it as soon as you were saying it. I was reading it. Yeah, RC Cola for sure, man. It had that like blue lettering, right? With like a lighter can, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
No, was it a blue one? Dang it.
It was blue, yeah. It was a
Yeah.
straight Pepsi ripoff.
Yeah. Which is saying something, you got to rip off Pepsi. That's how you know it's quality.
Here we go. RC Cola.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I remember the logo.
it's still going. No.
Oh, look at you. All right.
Wait, no. Now it says Keurig Dr. Pepper. Oh, so Dr. Pepper owns them.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, but it's not on the list.
Did they just absorb it to take it out?
They may have absorbed it and taken it out.
That's not nice. It's not nice.
Oh no, here it is. Here it is. No, we're good. We're safe. We're safe.
Oh yeah. Nice. All
Let's
right.
go.
Man, they got a lot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
About to buy some just for nostalgia.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I wonder. Huh. Very interesting.
That's crazy.
Dude, by the way, just FYI, that Dr. Pepper, what is it, blackberry?
Yeah.
That new one.
Mint.
Delish.
Is it on here? Cream
I think
soda.
it was their landing page.
Oh, it's on why would they not push it on here? It should be like first
Yeah,
thing.
it should be. Should be right on the top because I'm pretty sure it's fairly new.
You said on the landing page. Let's see. Oh, that blackberry right there. In this little screen there.
Yeah, there you go. That one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Pretty good.
I gotta try that. I was working actually down in back in the old days. I was working down there in the Gulf, and this captain that I worked for, he was like, I'm gonna try my best Texas accent right here. I was working on Louisiana, but he was from Texas. He was like, Steven, I have one rule on this ship, and that's to keep me happy. And you keep me happy by filling that fridge over there with 2 things: my Cheetos and my Dr. Pepper. You keep those things in there, we're good. And I was like, that's easy. Easy peasy. Sure as shit, man, one day somebody drank the last of Dr. Peppers. That man was fucking
I was gonna say until somebody messed it up for everybody.
Yep.
Dang.
Somebody messed it up. He used to it was because he's, sailors are very ritualistic. Like it's always like you do the same thing every time,
Right,
blah,
right.
blah. He would always come up, open the fridge, grab Dr. Pepper, grab a coffee filter, like a paper filter, and then dump his Cheetos in the paper filter, and then put them both
Smart.
on the panel by the wheel and just sit there all day, just do as skinny as a stick.
Yeah.
Because that's how that works.
Yeah, I was gonna say because that's I look at a pastry and I gain 5 pounds, but some of these people out here just are snorting them and they lose weight somehow.
Yep. Oh yeah. Dad Vader in the house. Good to see you.
What up, Mike?
You getting some endorsements there on the Blackberry Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's pretty solid. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Um, I guess my accent wasn't that good.
What does it say?
He says with that Texas accent sounds more like Sandy Cheeks than Kenobi.
Hey, Sandy Cheeks is a state treasure, all right? So
Is it? I don't even know what that is. What's Sandy Cheeks?
Sandy Cheeks from SpongeBob,
Oh
the
yeah.
squirrel that lives
Yep.
underwater too. So she's actually from Texas. It's a whole thing. Yeah, my kid's been on a SpongeBob bench for like a year and a half. So yeah, I'm all deep into the lore.
I thought. See, I thought SpongeBob was like towing a line between like it's for adults and it's for kids. Is it? Is it more for kids than like Ren and Stimpy was for adults? Like if you're I feel like Ren and Stimpy was
Yeah.
very like
Oh,
pushing
Ren
the
and
pushing the
Stimpy
line.
was yeah. Oh man, they were pushing it, especially because back in the '90s, right? You didn't really have um shows like that, so they were definitely pushing the envelope. No, actually, yeah, you're right. SpongeBob is a lot more like goofiness, like straight up. Because I was on the same boat as you, but then, like I said, now I've watched I don't know 320 episodes, and so yeah, very much more of a kid oriented. There's a couple of things here and there, of course,
Mhm.
but for the most part, no, it's fairly safe.
Hmm. Nice, nice. Um, so in the realm of Star Wars, there's not really a lot to talk about. There was something that was kind of shaking really causing disturbance in the force a couple weeks ago, which was the fake news of Kathleen stepping down. But
Yeah.
I guess I'll ask you the question. Oh, go ahead. You had some?
Oh no, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was
It's your
gonna
show, man.
say, it's our show. Um, this time it felt like it may have been more real. Just because so many people were talking about it. So, I guess my question to you, because time has passed, I think since Dave got on board, John got on board, and we've gotten more
Yeah.
projects probably since the last time you and I talked about the two of those guys. In the year 2025, are you still on board with either John or Dave taking the helm, or because of the projects we've gotten over the last couple of years, would you be down for somebody else altogether?
Yeah. So one thing I do want to clarify is that because I think people got hung up on some of the wording. So the rumor was that she was, retiring, right?
Yep.
As in, she's done, she's out of the job, out of the industry. Um, she said she's not retiring, but she did say she's fairly close to stepping down, right? So
Mm-hmm.
meaning she won't have the same job, but she'll still be very much active, right, in the development, in Lucasfilm. She just won't be like president, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so just that like clarification. Um, in terms of who should become president, I'll be honest with you, man. I don't. I'm not as on board with Dave Filoni taking the reins like that as I was before, maybe like a year ago, maybe a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why real quick, because Dave, I think, thrives on the creativity, right? Like he thrives on the storyboard, he thrives on the special effects, right? That doesn't necessarily mean he is great at running a multi-billion, company, right? It's just not the same. Now, do I want him to have more freedom with his stories? Absolutely, right? But I'll be honest with you, I think he's got a pretty, good amount of freedom as it is right now, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think they're red taping his stuff like that much. Honestly, I'm sure there's input from from executives and things like that, but I really don't think that it's a full on like, no, you have to do this type of thing, not anymore anyway.
Yeah.
um but yeah, right, ultra. But yeah, so however, Fabro, I kind of see him doing a better job, to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
at like actually being the president. I feel he's got enough knowledge of like both sides that he could do, a pretty decent job, honestly, like, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would want Dave to still be focused on the stories, still be focused on the characters, right? Again, I feel that that's where he really shines. Um, he wants to direct, that's fine, but even that, I kind of wish he would take like like a backseat or like a second place for him, because again, I feel that character development and story development are his like forte, right? Like
Hmm.
that's where I want him to pour like most of his energy and attention. Again, that's just my opinion, right, from what we've seen. But like I said, Fabro, I see him, have come up from, from like startup director to big blockbuster director to actor, a little bit, right?
Yep.
And so I think he would be more down for taking like a leadership position of that sort. Um, then again, there's always the outlier, right? There's always the, hey, let's just bring on somebody that's pure business, right?
Hmm.
That just, you know, let's these guys do whatever they want as long as they make money, and he just he or she is just in charge of keeping the ship afloat and keeping the bills paid, and he doesn't necessarily step into the creative process, right? So there's always that.
Yeah.
What up, Daniel? Yeah, we're messing with people, but hey, we gotta keep you guys guessing. Come on, man. Like we gotta keep things spicy, Otherwise, things get stagnant in the relationship.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, I mostly agree with what you were saying. I think I lost. So two things. One, I started to lose faith in their abilities as Mando rolled on,
Hmm.
because we started getting like weird like plot devices, like Beskar, for example. Like Beskar being as OP as it is, I to me was like a huge red flag, because bullets don't matter anymore. Laser bullets don't matter anymore. You just walk through
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
And considering that we got so much lore from Dave about Mandalorians, I just thought it was weird that like he would go from them being shot in Clone Wars to now they can't be
Hmm.
shot. Um, but when it comes to John, I feel like I need John to do a successful sequel to anything. And
I see
he,
that.
like Iron Man 1 is amazing. Like we have everything we have because of Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
Studios got involved. They ruined it for Iron Man 2,
Yeah.
and he kind of was like done with directing for Disney and all that. But he came
Right.
back now and he does what we have now. But the thing is like since they both kind of got promoted, there hasn't been a lot of things that came out that we were like, wow, this is a significant difference than was happening before.
Yeah.
We Mando got worse. Vision season 2 wasn't as good as season 1. Andor, we all kind of we have our disagreements, but it's still one of the better ones. But we
Hmm.
still haven't had that. We still haven't had another Mando season 1, and that gets casual people talking about Star Wars again. We still haven't had that. So I need him to get a win on a sequel, or else he starts going down the J.J. Abrams route in my head, which is you could
Oh yeah.
start something cool, but you can't finish it.
Yeah.
Like Force Awakens, for as much crap as people give it, it still made crazy numbers. It still set us up for what could have been a really good story, even though JJ just copies other people's work. I mean, it's New Hope. We all know it, but
Oh yeah.
it it was still fun, and it's still a pretty ass movie to watch. But he can't finish it. He came back for the third one, and you know you could say damned if you do, damned if you don't. Whether you undo Last Jedi or continue Last Jedi, like it, we could Monday morning quarterback this thing. But um, JJ is not known for finishing anything that he starts, and
Yeah.
I don't want John to go down that road of he always starts something cool, and then it ends up being crap when it's done. So,
No,
uh,
I agree. And like I said, I started thinking about like, was it maybe too much for them, to bite on different projects in parallel? uh that's why I'm like, you throw in the um the admin responsibilities, right, of a higher charge, like being president or whatever
mhm.
the title is. I'm like, is that just gonna dry the well at that point? So that's why I'm like, let's maybe go back to like you said, right, to the beginning, to like the basics, for them, and let's see if we can, crank out another banger, because the force knows we need it. I mean, again, I've said it many times, and I'm gonna say it one more time. If Andor season 2 is not a hit, oof, we
Mm-hmm.
are in trouble, like
Mm-hmm.
for real trouble.
Yeah. I think in trouble with the hardcore fans. I think it's going to be hard to get casuals on Andor because
Yeah,
I think most of them probably didn't even see season one, but I think you really lose faith in the hardcores with season two if it bombs because so many. I mean, everybody's argument is, you know, Ahsoka was terrible, but Andor was great. Um,
yeah,
what was the other one? Acolyte was terrible, but Andor was great. Like that's everybody's kind of like that's their last hope
yep,
is was Andor season one. So if season two ends up being a disappointment, yeah, that
yeah.
puts a dent. But at the same time, I was gonna make a meme one day, and I just couldn't. I didn't think it was that good. Which I put out things I think suck, and all of a sudden they get the most views. But um, with Ghostbusters and Star Wars, I feel like they're on a similar path right now, where hype for both are extremely low.
Yeah.
The one good thing that Star Wars has is the Disney machine, because for all the content, even if the content bombs, it still does well on the rewatches, people watching the OT, watching the prequels, and people still go to the park in Disney World. So at
Yep.
least you got that keeping the machine going, even if the media is not there, which I think is a point that gets lost by a lot of the creators who are like, oh, Disney's in trouble, Star Wars is in trouble. It to us it's in trouble because we consume the content, but from a dollars and cents, they're like,
Oh
oh, well,
no, they.
people still go to the park, so like, what does it
Yeah,
matter?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
people still spending $300 on a lightsaber at
yeah,
Disney, right? So
yeah,
we're good.
yeah,
That's to your point, right? Star Wars is not going anywhere, guys. Let's
yeah,
just put it that way. uh, what version of Star Wars we'll get, that's up for debate, right?
yeah,
In the near future. Which again, not to keep, beating on a dead horse, but I kind of feel it's starting to show with Andor being the only thing this year, only
yeah.
thing, live
I didn't
action.
realize that till you said that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We don't really got anything else lined up, not officially anyway, right? There's always
yeah,
the surprise drop, but let's be honest. I mean, how many times have they surprise drop a live action anything, right?
yeah.
Um, they've done it, with the shorts. They've done it with what was that season of the oh my lord, I'm blanking out, the
Tails.
Young Jedi Adventures.
Mm,
Yeah, they did it with Tales, exactly. Um, but again, a big production, live action production. I would be super super surprised if they, you know, just out of the blue, right, drop like one episode of whatever the next thing is, right?
mm-hmm.
Which I'm not even sure, like timeline wise, what that would be. I'm assuming it's Ahsoka season 2 because they're about to start shooting. But even then, right, like even if you mad dash to have one episode ready by the end of this year, would you want to like burn that ace in the hole, like so late in the game, so late in the year, I mean? Or would
Mm-hmm.
you rather just save it and make that your linchpin for next year, right? So I don't
Yeah,
know, like I said, it's one of those things that I'm like, okay, well, yes, Andor season 2 is probably going to be pretty good. But like you mentioned, right, how many casuals is it really going to bring in, right? So assuming it's good, you'll keep us hardcore fans happy this year, right? But in reality, how many like new people did you manage to bring in, right, this year?
yeah,
So it's, I don't know, like I said, maybe they're trying something new. I'm not sure what their strategy is.
yeah. I want to say hi, of course, as you mentioned, Legacy in the house. Good to see you. And I'm Reby, if I'm saying that right. Good to see you. Um, so you made the comment. Honestly, you're right, man. Nowadays, Marvel ain't worth the time, to be honest. But then you call out Spider-Man, which I was going to bring up, of course.
Yeah.
It with all of these, it only takes one or two hits to make you forget how
Hmm.
bad things have been going, because with Marvel right now, like top of mind as a somebody who, I mean, we consume more content than the average when it comes to this kind of stuff because we talk
Yep.
about it. But I haven't been seeking out Marvel news or anything. But to me, in this year so far, Marvel's been doing great.
Yep. I
And
was gonna say.
the last phase of movies to me, like I forgot all about. I'm
Yep.
more like, hey, this year we got Spider-Man. It was great. Daredevil's rolling. It's amazing.
Yep.
And then we have Thunderbolts coming out.
Yep. Which actually looks kind of fun.
It looks fun. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
Captain America, forgot all about it. Doesn't
Yeah. I
matter.
was gonna say it's yeah, Captain America, and you know, it's one of those things, right? It's I don't know if I can say if it's a bad movie by now Marvel standards.
Right.
Because if you measure up again, like you said, right, like between like against the recent ones,
Mm-hmm.
taking Deadpool outside of the equation though, because Deadpool is like the outlier, right?
Yeah.
Um, like MCU movies, Captain America is not that bad. It's just it's it's a sequel to a movie that everybody already forgot.
Yeah.
um Heck, I forgot about a few details. So we actually went to see it. It's called the Alamo Draft House.
Mm.
It's a chain of theaters here, and they're a little bit different, right? So what they'll do is they'll have some sort of related content before the movie actually starts, right?
Oh.
So they actually had this like 20-minute video going through the entire show of Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Oh.
right? And some dude just narrating it, right? Like with little, uh, comedy, like comment here and there. But for the most part, it was just info, right? It's like, hey, this happened, and this is how they got, with the new serum, and so got it, and I was like, dude, you're right. Like I totally forgot about
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
that was like, if I hadn't seen that, like I said, previous to the movie, I would have been like, who was this guy again? And why is the old man so strong again? And like, like that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was hilarious because we watched that, right? And so my family was with me, and spoiler alert, spoiler. The first scene, right, of Captain America, New World Order is like Captain America bursting right through a window and like doing the superhero pose, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like with the wings and everything, right? And he stands tall and you see the suit and everything. And my wife immediately goes, I totally did not see the last one. Like she's like, I have no clue what's going on, like right
Yeah.
off the bat. I'm like, you just saw that thing? Like they literally spelled it out. She's like, nope, I got nothing.
Yep.
So she was like, I'm out, like literally 30 seconds into the movie. Um, and so yeah, let alone, trying to call back 2008 Hulk movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, dude, even back then, I mean, it was overshadowed by Iron Man, and then the train just started rolling, and they left him behind. They left that movie behind. So now, freaking, what is it, 17 whatever many years later, like now you try to catch us up to it. Like, I'm sorry, man, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of not gonna happen.
I mentioned it a couple weeks ago where, yeah, don't
It's
worry, you're
hilarious.
good. You're good. Um, oh,
Perfect.
Patrick, thank you so much. Cheers
Mm.
to you.
Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate you, man.
I had I talked about it a while back where with Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was going to be a hard mission
Yeah.
because again, Monday morning quarterback. Do we acknowledge Brave New World happened? I mean, do we acknowledge that the TV show happened, or do we not acknowledge the TV show happened?
Right.
Like,
Right.
like for sake of story, we need to acknowledge it, but at the same time, most people didn't watch it that are going to see this movie.
Hmm.
What do we do? So I understand that was tough. That's a tough
Yeah.
call to make. To I'm Reby, if I'm saying it right. Um, Spider-Verse is another one. I routinely forget about
Oh,
Spider-Verse,
dude. Yeah.
and that of all the movies to be going through production problems and cast problems, like that should not be the one. Like that's the one
Agreed.
that, if anything, like that they should have had like 5 more scripts already ready to go.
Hmm.
And it's like, why? How do you fumble that one? How's that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah, and I agree because so maybe recapping, I loved the first one. I actually really, really liked the second one.
Mm-hmm.
it was too long for my taste. There
Yes.
was definitely some stuff that could have been, trimmed, and the movie would have been a banger,
Mm-hmm.
right? But again, I have rewatched it. Like I do find myself, putting it on. Now I don't finish it because it's kind of long, right? So it's
Yeah.
not a one sitting watch for me. But I do enjoy it because I like how they actually made it a sequel, right? Like it's intertwined with the stuff that happened in the first one, right? Like it wasn't just like, all right, we're rolling on to the next adventure type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I was like, all right, well, this is part one, right? Part one of the second part, in the
Right.
overall.
Yeah.
So yeah, part 2.5, whatever it's called. I'm like, all right, it's gonna be good, right? I think they got it laid down. It looks like the story's there, right? Like they primed you for everything, and then they're like, oh, by the way, we're delaying a year, and I was like, how come, right? And so you're good,
Yeah.
spoiler free zone. I was like, how come? If it looked like it was literally just a matter of making it, right? Like the story is all there, for the most part, of course. The big, the big cues are there, and then they're like, oh, by the way, it's going on like another year delay, and I'm like, okay, like I'm starting to worry, guys. Like we went from a premiere, what was it, like this year, I think,
Mm-hmm.
um, to 26, and now to, you know what, we'll let you know when we premiere it. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like what the heck? Like what? That I don't know. So I agree with you. I don't understand it. Out of all, the properties they got, let's be honest, like Sony with Spider-Man, I would think that is by far the best one they've handled, right? The Spider-Verse. Live action movies, that's a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so again, why wouldn't you have contingency plans for your, for your prime, for your ace, right? When it comes to Spider-Man, like I agree. I don't understand it.
Yeah. It's funny now on first of all, I need to address some allegations in the chat
Oh
from
snap.
uh from my boy Team Jugs over here. I am not a cake eater, okay? I am actually rocking Bash Brother gear, sir. Let's go.
Nice.
Um actually some of you may remember this was a one too many beers purchase on this very show like 2 years ago. I I was like, I don't want to buy uh Conroy. What was his first name? Charlie. I was like, I don't want to buy Charlie's jersey because I feel like most people probably buy Charlie's jersey. And then they had a Team USA one that was for Banks. And then that's when I noticed the Fulton Reed one. And I was like, oh, I bet you
Yeah.
most people won't have that one. So I got that. Um, but yes, Bash Bros and Dave in the house. Good to see you.
What up, Dave?
Um, so on Box Office Mojo, they changed it to question marks for the year of
Yeah.
release on this movie because they just keep moving it. Just
Yeah.
keeps on moving. It's wild.
Yeah. I have this like bad feeling that we're actually gonna see Spider-Man 4 before we see, you know, Spider-Verse 2.7 or whatever it is. Um,
How about this? What do we see first? Across the Spider-Verse or Blade?
dude. Yeah, I know. That's like what happens when you know, what is it called? An immovable object
In
meets a
Yeah, Unstoppable
meets
Force.
unstoppable force. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, dude. I don't know. That's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Six
That is the real.
years. Six
Yeah.
years since I got announced.
Yeah. No kidding. And I think it actually looks further away now
Ever
than
before.
even like a year ago. Yeah, exactly. So Dave is saying Spider Verse. Yeah, I'm actually inclined to agree,
Yeah.
but by a small margin.
I was gonna I was gonna say that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Dude, so I hosted a panel with the GTA 5
Yeah.
main cast voice actors last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I was talking to some of them afterwards, right, for a little bit. We're just they're just hanging out, and they're like, bro, we did not think we are gonna go this long. It's like it's been like 10 years. We're still doing these things. Like they still keep calling us. He's like, so he's like, we all want to see GTA, 6, right? Like it's like, but at the same time, it's like we're still milking it. So we're not in a hurry. So I thought that was funny.
Talk to me about that. Like that, like you
Sure.
you did a bunch of these for NostalgiaCon, which
I did.
so much has happened in the last couple of months that I thought this was like a year ago. It was only 3 months ago.
Yeah, dude, this is December.
um,
But I agree, dude. It feels, oh man, yeah,
this
it's kind of nuts.
was this your first major con doing panels since the strike? Because you had that run where you couldn't talk about anything
Yeah, I
related
remember that
to the
was so weird.
celebrities that you were interviewing.
Yeah, but actually, no. So over the summer, last summer, sorry. So what was that? June, 2024.
Mhm.
I co-hosted a panel with Sam Witwer at Superhero Comic Con
Right.
here in town, and then in October, I actually got what I consider to be my first like big shot because I interviewed Matthew Wood,
Mhm.
General Grievous, and the guy who does pretty much every single sound since like the prequels on.
Mhm.
Um, and so that was in October. So I think that was the probably the biggest panel that I did
Yeah.
um, last year. But at NostalgiaCon, dude, I did something like, God, I don't even know. Maybe something like 6 panels, maybe seven
Mhm.
panels, like
Mhm.
throughout the show. It was a lot, and yeah, there's I got a little section of I did a bunch of them. Um, so that show has been the ones that I've done the most, like by far,
Mm.
by at least like a factor of three. Um, and it was an experience, man. It was an experience. Um, it was a good experience. If you notice, the grand majority of them, I would say actually all of them, they're not related to Star Wars or
Yeah.
even like close, right?
Yep.
However, and I don't know if people know this, but I'm actually a big anime fan too. I just, I just don't broadcast that as much because again, back in my day, that was like that
No,
was like a
no.
hush hush thing. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
I was like, nope, nope, you don't wear a t-shirt with a chick, anime chick in a bikini. Like you don't do that.
Mhm.
Whereas now, by the way, we had a guy show up at work that way, and I was like, really, bro? Like, come on, like,
Wow.
yeah. I was like, there's not like letting your gig flag fly. I almost messed that one up.
Mhm.
And then there's like borderline inappropriate, right? Like I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, it's a
Yeah.
workplace. And mind you, he works at like the metal fab shop, so it's like you know like actual rugged mechanics and freaking like steel workers and stuff. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, bro? Like seriously, what
Yeah.
are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, no judgment. I'm just saying,
Time and
OSHA would
place.
probably have a word. Yeah, exactly. OSHA would probably have a word about that. But yeah, so some of the anime stuff, I was okay with. Um, but I did have to do a ton of research, for most of these panels. So that was, like I said, that was a big experience for me. The other thing, to be honest, was sort of like the behind the scenes, like at the con. um we were, I guess, responsible of getting our stuff, lined up. So basically we had to go wrangle up like the actors and be like, hey guys, in 15 minutes I need you by the stage because we got a panel, like that kind of thing. So that was an experience in on its own. um for the most part, everybody was great, but there were a couple of times when some of them were like, dude, look at the line that I have right now, for like autographs and pictures. Like, I'm not gonna
Mhm.
go do a panel right now. I'm like, bro, we're on the schedule, right? Like, I kind of need you. Like,
Those are
you've been
fans too
announced.
over there.
Yeah, exactly. And you were announced. You signed a contract. You're on the schedule. You're on the app. Blah blah blah. Right? Like, you know, I just did a PA announcement, right? That you're gonna come on. Like, kind of need you. So, and like I said, for the most part, that was only maybe one that was like kind of like, I don't know, man, like, I'm losing money type of thing. I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, but again, first of all, they're short panels, right? Like they're not
Yeah.
super long. I was like, and it's kind of in your contract, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, maybe don't sign a contract that way, right? Next time. Um, but like I said, for the most part, everybody's super nice and everybody's happy to be there and chat up with the fans. But yeah, man, it was an experience. I was exhausted, dude. Like, so tired. Um, and mind you, I drove there. So for reference, that was in Houston, Texas. I live in San Antonio. It's about a 4-hour drive. So I had the most panels. I think I did like 4 panels that day. So I wrap up the show. We stay till it ends. I still gotta take down my booth and my banner and all that stuff, put it away. Go get my car and then still drive like 4 hours. Back home. So I was so tired. Like I had like no voice. The next day at work, I was like, I am canceling a bunch of meetings. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like I'm just trying to stay afloat here. But again, great experience for sure. One that I'm hoping kind of gets to repeat because this year NostalgiaCon is bringing the heat for Star Wars voice actors. They've already announced quite a bit, and the one that that I think really stood out to people is Freddie Prinze Jr.,
Oh,
um, aka Kanan Jarrus. So
yep.
kind of looking forward to that, but we'll see. We'll see. It's still a little bit, a few months away.
I need you, and actually I have it here on the screen for everybody. If you do get to do the Freddie Prinze Jr. panel,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be like, "Oh, I'm just happy you made it here," because that dude has canceled so many freaking
Dude,
shows.
and you know what's funny about that? I was literally about to say I was supposed to meet him 2 years
Yep.
ago, back in ICCC, 2023, my first
Wasn't
one.
that for like the full Rebels reunion?
Yeah, dude, they
Yep.
had damn near everybody there. He was gonna be there, and you're absolutely right. He canceled like
Yeah.
maybe like a week before. It wasn't like last minute, like the night before, but it was close enough, right? Close enough that people were like, "Dang it, man! Like I got everything lined up." Um, but yeah, I hear you. So if they pull it off, my head's off to NostalgiaCon, for for being able to retain him. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And yeah, actually, sorry, I forgot to address this before. LeBron brought it up, and I think Ruby said it earlier, or somebody else said it, maybe Ultra, that Star Wars Hunters is no longer going to
It's
be
going down.
yeah, supported. Did you play that at all? Did that fly across your
I
radar?
did like twice. It was more of a, so I played it on mobile. I know that there were other versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I only played it on mobile, and yeah, maybe for like a couple of weeks. I didn't really go heavy into it. But in my mind, it had just launched. Like
Yeah.
I think by the time it's getting
Wow, not even a year.
sunset. Exactly. It's I think by the time it gets sunset, it'll be like a year and change.
Yep.
But yeah, like a year and a half maybe by that point, because it's coming down in October.
Mm,
Um, but still, like that's like you said, it's not even a year, and you're already announcing that they're shutting it down. Like
yeah.
that's freaking fast, man. So yeah, I guess I'm assuming the numbers were just not there. It was to me it was a fun game. Like some of the mechanics were a little bit getting used to, or took some getting used to, but overall, like it was fun. Um, but I don't know that like I said, I wasn't too much into it. Like it was a bit repetitive for my taste.
Mm,
Um, and so I kind of dropped it. There you go, LeBron. It was on the Switch. I was trying to
mm.
remember what console it was.
I was thinking about that as you were talking. Even you know, going into the Star Wars conversation as a whole, once again, like I don't think Star Wars has had a hit game
No.
on a level that like a Halo or
Yeah.
a Smash Bros. Something that like like everybody again, everybody's talking about it. Casuals are talking about it. I don't think every company is gonna get a Fortnite like that. That's
Oh yeah,
or
for
an
sure.
Overwatch. Like that's
Right.
gonna be
Right.
tough. But like, for example, on the Ghostbuster side of things, Spirits Unleashed is finally sunsetting. That game's been out for a hot minute, super repetitive, but they kept doing updates to the game and they kept adding new skins to the game. And when the new movie came out, they added skins from the movie and stuff to the game. So The hardcores were still playing that game, even though it's a small community, but they were still doing it. I feel like Star Wars just doesn't. It's never had that game that like the hardcores are all about it. The only one I could maybe think of outside of like KOTOR is I think when Battlefront 2 came out
Yeah.
in high school, maybe. That one I knew a lot of people played that weren't heavy into Star Wars, but they were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's fun." It wasn't. I mean, the second Madden came out, they were gone,
Oh
but
yeah, for sure.
that's
Dude,
maybe the closest.
I think that's the last game that I went like maybe a little bit too much into.
Mm-hmm.
Battlefront 2, dude. I was trying to unlock all the weapon, mods
Mm-hmm.
and everything. Now Battlefront 2, the EA one, right? The one from, gosh, by now what, like 10 years ago maybe?
2017,
Uh
almost. Yeah.
oh, dude, yeah, so old. Um First of all, they went, they became famous because they botched that launch, right?
Oh,
It
that's
was
right, with
just
the
so
the
bad.
loot crates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to play? $70. Wait, didn't I pay 60 for the game? Yes, sir.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, that still, I think that still went down in history, in video game history, as one of the like worst, launches like ever.
Yeah.
However, like I would say about a year afterwards, the game was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. I played it for, like solid, like 2 years maybe, like after that, like
Mm-hmm.
fairly consistent. Like you said, you had skins and you had unlockables and new modes and stuff like that. And then it just kind of died out. I don't know, does it say if it's already sunset? I don't know that it is, because I think the servers are still up, but I think they might be coming close to it. Um, but yeah.
Still get some.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, still get some people. Yeah, but I'm fairly
Oh,
sure
but
they're.
there you go. 2023. No, wait. Yeah. 2023 is
Yeah,
when
there
they
you go.
when they
Oh,
stopped.
but
Yeah.
that's Battlefield
No, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Oh, on Windows. That was on
on
Windows.
Windows. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I'm fairly certain it's coming to an end like soonish too. Um, but yeah, to your point, I agree. I mean, the Jedi Survivor, you know, um, games have been pretty good, right? Like
Yeah.
they've been pretty well accepted. The sequel was well accepted. Um, but to your comparison, obviously nowhere near like a Halo
Mm-hmm.
or any of those like actual franchise games, right? Like we're still far away from that.
Man, we were talking about E3 the other day, and
Hmm.
I get chills thinking about. I think it was Halo 3, where there's like a trailer that they premiered, and it's like the desert, and like the ship comes out, and then you just see like this cloaked figure, and like the cape is flying in the wind, and then all of a sudden, like, I think he's holding a dog tag or something, and then the hood comes off and it's Master Chief, and everybody's like, what, this is freaking crazy. Like, we just don't have those anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a thing. Or when Gears of War got part 2 announced, and like everybody lost their
Oh,
shit. Like,
do you
man.
remember those cinematics for ODST? Those live action? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
dude,
Yeah.
man, that those still give me chills, man. No, I agree. There used to be a whole thing about, I wouldn't even call them game trailers, just game, what would you call them? Game hype videos. I don't
Yeah.
know what to
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even like showing you the gameplay, right? Like
No.
it
Yeah.
was just the lore. It was just like, hey, this is happening,
Yeah.
like this dude is back. And again, you wouldn't even get to see the game for months, right? But you were hyped up because you're like, oh my lord, like the story is continuing, type of thing.
I'm trying to see if
Um,
I could find one of them. Or maybe it was ODST. That was the
I don't know, man.
desert.
Like those ODST ones have some bangers in there, like like
Ever
the one
wonder?
where, what was it, the little brother, that has the older brother, like that died as a marine, and then he
I
just goes like into it.
I think this is it. I think it's actually Halo
Oh, you might
3.
be right.
Let's risk it. You want to risk it?
Yeah, let's
We're gonna
do it.
risk it.
It's up there. Like what?
Oh,
Maybe someone up there
messing
was
up.
wondering what it's like here. I guess. Do you think we'll ever meet them? I hope so. Don't you? Do you think we'll ever meet them? Chief.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Product not yet rated.
Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, dude. Dude, look at
Crazy.
that. 2007, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I remember that. Do you remember when so we saw that like shield grenade,
Mm-hmm.
and then I kept trying to find it like in the game. I'm like, how do I like where is it? Like how do I activate it like the way he did?
Yep.
And I could never get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, they different times for sure. We definitely don't get that.
Yeah, different experience. Why don't we haven't talked about toys or collectibles at all
Yeah, man,
in quite a
it's been a
minute.
bit.
Yes, why don't we jump into that as our last topic of the evening?
Let's do it.
Yeah, Halo 3 was
Yeah,
man,
something else.
sometime. So we've been getting, a couple Hasbro drops, here and
Yep.
there, but I have not seen a lot of hype around stuff. A lot of things not quite selling out. I guess my question first is, where are you in the collecting of Star Wars figures? Are you still teetering the line of vintage, not Hasbro vintage, but like true vintage collecting and new stuff, or are you one or the other, pausing? Where are we at?
Yeah, so actually, so overall, I will say I have slowed down. I have slowed down quite a bit.
Mhm.
It has to deal with some of the how can I say it? Some of the offerings, right, for the past year. Also, I've been trying to shift my collecting habits, which I think I'm doing a good job.
Mhm.
And I've almost gone away from pre-orders. Now,
Mm.
not 100%, okay, for sure,
Right.
not 100%. But man, I would say, like, without lying to you, I've cut them down like 75%, maybe a little bit more.
Mm.
I've gone quite a long time without actually pre-ordering something. Now, I've ordered stuff online that's in stock, right? That's
Mm.
just to wanna make that distinction. But like actual, I pre-ordered today and I won't get it till like a year and a half or something like
Yeah.
that. It's I've cut down quite a bit. Actually, if it wasn't for last week, I would have told you that I haven't ordered anything this year. So last week they actually released the Black Series Episode 3 packaging figures,
Oh yeah.
exclusive to Walmart, and that's the only reason why I pre-ordered, because Walmart is a PNDA to try
Mm-hmm.
to get in store. They're always destroyed. Even the pre-order, I'm sure there's gonna be something wrong with it. But I was like, you know what? I like these figures. You guys know me. I'm a sucker for the packaging.
Yep.
Um, yes, I'm part of the problem, but at least I'm honest about it. So I was like, I need these figures, in this packaging. So I pre-order. It might shock you that I actually didn't pre-order all four that were released. I pre-ordered two.
Oh.
Again, believe it or not. So I pre-order the Count Dooku and I pre-order the 501st, which is
Mm.
labeled differently, right? Because they didn't call it 501st 20 years ago.
Right.
So I did pre-order those again because I was like, yeah, I kind of need them. But like I said before that, I actually had not pre-ordered anything, this year. So yeah, there they are. So I've toned it down quite a bit, like I said, in terms of the actual quantity also that I'm purchasing. Now, I say that, but but next month I'm going to Japan, and then that's it. I'm gonna make up for everything that I just set, and there goes the streak, and I'm off the rails. But so far, I've been okay. I've been good. To answer your question, in terms of vintage, I've also slowed down. I've only picked up very few pieces. I need one specific piece to complete a set. So you remember those mini rigs, those like non-official, they never came out on screen, smaller vehicles for Kenner,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That they're based on concepts or modified versions, etc., right? Like they were meant to be like cheaper ships back in the day. um I actually have uh so I focused on the Lily Ledy version, which are the Mexican produced in the 80s,
Oh.
and they're more rare, they're more scarce. um, I only need one of them to complete all of the ones that Lily Ledy actually made. Yeah, it's actually that one, that orange one right there in the center. Um, I need that version from Lily Ledy, and that's it. I would have completed that small set
Nice.
of it, but it's been hard to come by, man. It's been very hard to come by. I've been looking for it 3 years now, like
Wow.
actively. Um, it's popped up, but it's like loose and like missing stuff. And I'm like, I'm not, if I'm gonna spend the money, I want to get like the one version that's gonna stay in my collection, right? Like I just want to get it, and
Mhm.
hopefully it's in great shape. I've gotten the rest of them with a box. Now the box is definitely not in good shape, but with a box, so I kind of want to get this one the same way. But like I said, it's just they were so low number production that they're just they're just not out there that much. But
It's
yeah,
the
aside from
random
that,
toy store, like in a random
oh dude, yeah,
town of like
for sure.
population 100 that has it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or like the random, like nephew of the guy that used to collect them back then, and he doesn't even know what it is, and the uncle just like, here's my box of old toys, type of thing. Yeah, so I'm still looking for it, right? I haven't done like eBay and stuff, because even then they don't really pop up there that often. Um, but yeah, so that's the one piece I am like actively trying to get from my vintage run,
Mhm.
right? And then whatever like good deal comes my way, depending on the conventions that I'm at. But I'm trying to do mostly carded stuff. I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna spend the money, I kind of want to get something that's like a more of a display piece, right? But yeah, so yes, overall, I've definitely toned it down. Um, I'm not going heavy into anything specific, and I don't have space. But that was true like 10 years ago, so that's nothing new. So it just
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. I'm sad because like what got me into collecting, a lot of you may know already, was the NECA 1990 turtles. Like
Yep.
seeing the photos of them was what got me into like, I need to find these toys. Oh, they make these other things, like these other licenses have toys still. Like that's crazy. I had no idea. Um, but the line I started collecting first was Black Series, and it it's to me it sucks because like they haven't put out a lot of things that make me like excited anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's I want to army build troopers and I want to do all these things, but like I just don't get excited for the line anymore. And one of the things that bothers me is you know the year 2025 we're still using these old bodies, like those single joint elbows with the
Yeah.
trigger hand. It bugs the shit out of me. Like I can't.
Hmm.
And I think that's a custom sculpt. Um, actually, yeah,
Probably.
beautiful custom, yeah. But the bodies, I'm just like, I know Lucasfilm is difficult to work with, but like we really can't update any of these things,
Yeah.
because they peg warm now. All of it peg warms. It's not even a an acolyte thing. It's not a
No.
Book of Boba Fett thing. The line is just stagnant. And what I love is the excitement happening now with Micro Galaxy and how many of you are collecting that. And you deserve
Mhm.
a check. Nerd Squadron deserves a check. Flex deserves a
Yeah.
check, because I would give two F's about Micro Galaxy Squadron if not for you guys plugging it all the time and showing how good it is and how much better it's gotten over the last
Yeah,
few
that I
years.
was gonna say that's actually you bring up a good point. That's probably my most active line that I'm collecting right now.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you guys, I'm not picking up everything because there is a lot out there. We're into the several hundreds, if you count the numbers, like there's quite a bit. But man, they've been that is probably, and you're right, that's probably the only line that I can point to that I'm like, they're actually improving, you know. Um they're improving their see, here's the thing. The molding was always kind of there, from like the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
They always had like a pretty good level of detail, but the paint was just not helping it, like the,
Yeah.
the paint applications was just too simple, too cheap, if you want to think about it that way. Yeah, there you go. It's a beautiful set. um but now they're going heavy into like the weathering, some of the damage effects, so you're like, dude, this looks great, like right out of the box. You hand it over to freaking Flex and it's gonna make it look, like twice as good. But I'm just saying,
Mm-hmm.
like out of the box, if you don't want to mess with it, most of the stuff today looks really good. And here's the other thing: they're starting to go for the deep cuts, dude. The headhunter. When did we ever get a headhunter? Um, like official bigger scale ship that wasn't like a micro machine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's one. Uh, you know, the one that they took their sweet time, in my opinion, is the Arc 170. I'm like, dude, why didn't you make this like 2 years ago? But anyway, it's coming out. I'm gonna buy it. Probably gonna buy the repaints. Yes, I'm a sucker. I don't care. I love that ship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's the thing, right? They are doing good with the well, okay. They were doing good with the repaints
Right.
that made sense. They've started to go what I like to call the carbonized way
Yes.
with that freaking Armada line. So every time I see one of those, I'm like, oh, this is the Micro Galaxy carbonized,
Yep.
because that's literally all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, people argue that there are some improvements to the paint, or to the detailing, but I'm like, that's fine if you missed it the first time. Okay, maybe, but at the same time, most of these can still be found on a discount, right? Online or at most retailers. So I'm like, I don't know who was asking for this Armada, version of many of these ships, because they're not even the rare ones. They're just kind
Right.
of like the rando ones that you see all the time. Um, but the ghost is I think the flagship of what that line can be.
Yeah.
Uh, the freaking ghost is nuts. Um, I feel that the Falcon was a bit of a missed opportunity. I feel that it could have been a lot better. I don't think it made the splash that they thought it was gonna make.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that ATTE, that's pretty good too. So, um, the bigger, I guess yeah, exactly, the bigger offerings are really good, and I feel they're been getting better with the bigger ships.
The funny thing is, it's almost, and I was talking about this last week when it comes to music bands, but it's almost like the Falcon was ahead of its time. Like it was too
Yeah,
early.
yeah, I agree.
Um, because I mean, we all remember toy hunting 2 years ago, and those Falcons just collecting all the
Hmm.
dust in the world.
Yep.
And I remember watching reviews because I think I feel like I started paying attention when you started collecting the line
Hmm.
and you were looking for chases. And I was like, oh, like, and
Yeah.
I remember texting you in a Target asking you what's the difference between Micro Galaxy and the Hot Wheels line. And you explained the scaling thing. But I went home one day and I watched a review on the Falcon because it was on sale. And the review was kind of like, meh about it.
Yeah.
But I feel like lately what really picked up was the Ghosts being $13. Like once
Yeah.
once that went on sale and more people picked it up and were like, "Oh, this actually isn't that bad." Like I
Exactly.
feel like that really changed the game with Micro Galaxy.
I agree. First of all, what I've noticed is not a whole lot of people realize that it's got sounds. It's got
Yeah, yeah,
electronic
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
in it. And I don't know if that's just the packaging doing a poor job of showing that off, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I was surprised by some of the comments. It's like, wait, it makes sounds like it's got lights. I'm like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
dude, it's right there on the box.
Mm-hmm.
So this was what, $60, I think, like out of the gate. Um, and then it dropped to 30, and at 30, I gotta tell you, 30 is great, right?
Mm-hmm.
30 is a what I consider to be a great price. But then they kept on slashing it, and it went down to what, like 15 shipped or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is just, come on, it's ridiculous, right? Like that's just you
Yeah.
you have no excuse to pick that up
Yeah.
at 15,
Yeah.
if you can find them, of course. But
It sat
but
for a
yeah,
while. It was on there
it did.
for a while.
It did, yeah, it did. I kept checking, and I kept being tempted. I'm like, why do I want another one? But again, at $15, I was like, dude, that is a heck of a thing to have. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, we go back to the space thing, um, and so yeah, I agree with you. I think that that ship in particular, like I said, has become come of the kind of the flagship. See what I did there for the line. Um, and it definitely helped that it went down as cheap as it did, but it got it into more people's hands, and into
Mm-hmm.
more YouTubers and more reviewers. And so now people are like, man, this one's pretty good, like what else did they got?
Yeah.
um that Ahsoka ship, that the T6, I didn't think it was going to be that popular, man. Like that, I just saw some like restocked, but they're not in clearance on my Target. But they were sold out for a little bit. Like they,
Mm-hmm.
people picked them up like at regular price. Um, but yeah, which one I regret not buying, of course. And it's gonna sound like why would you have a hard time finding it? But it's the Y Wing.
Really? You
Um,
can't find that one?
no, oh, okay, fine. You can find it, but at a markup, right? Like for
Mm.
regular price, it's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
So I think there was just too much time in between the Y Wing being released and the Ghost being released. So when people like me, they want to put together the fleet, like the docked formation,
Yeah.
now you can't find Y Wings for regular price.
Right.
Um, so, but yeah, I mean, I'm still looking because I definitely want to display it that way. To me, that's the way to display the Ghost.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun line for sure. I love ships, first of all, so I was already, their target demographic.
Mm-hmm.
But I am glad, like I said, I am glad to see that they've improved. I reviewed a Mandalorian Fang Fighter, and the ship is fine, but dude, the little Mando, like the little miniature Mando
Mm-hmm.
on it, dude, oh my lord, I was like, how do they even paint this? Like it was so good. Like it had the silver band like that goes across the helmet.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, like, are you kidding me? Like this is ridiculous. Like it's and again, I just hope that they keep going with that. Now this one that you were showing, that tiger shark, that's still probably one of my favorite, like in the entire line. And this one came out early, um,
Yeah.
just because you guys know that I'm a sucker for the Gendy Tartakovsky miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
The cartoon one, and this is obviously from it. So I loved when they announced this. Like this one, this is, I think, probably the only one that I pre-ordered. Like when I saw that it was gonna come out, I was like, I have to have it. I thought it was gonna sell out and it was gonna be like super rare and like hard to find.
Yeah.
Um, not so much. You can still find it for regular price though, so it hasn't gone cheap. But again, it's very much available.
It's a tough one because I mean I would very much collect the line, but like you already called out, space. Like
Oh yeah.
it's that's the only reason I didn't buy the Ghost. And then I was telling you the other day how I regretted not buying the Ghost. So I was like, for $13, I would sit on it until someday I ever had space, for
Right.
it.
Yeah.
But it's like I go through phases where I'm like obsessed with a certain part of this hobby,
Hmm.
and I had numerous times I've run into the wanting to build dioramas, and I've practiced with them. I made a couple of dioramas. I've thrown them out because of space, but I'm like, man, I would love to have the room to have like a flight pad or a hangar with the
Oh
various
yeah.
ships in it. But like the amount of time it would take or space it would take if you had the Falcon, the Ghost, and a couple X-wings around. I mean, you need a whole room for just
Oh, for
that one
sure.
aspect, you know?
Yeah. So before this line, I guess I bought a few of the so they're miniatures also, but they're from the game, like the role
Mm,
the turn-based game, like
yeah.
X-wings. They're called, oh man, what is it? Galaxies, maybe. I'm blanking out. Anyway, but I was buying them for the ships because I wanted the little ships, right? Like the little uh, and they had a few that have never been offered, like the Hammerhead Corvette. It's one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite ships, and they finally put it out once Rogue One came out. Keep in mind, the Hammerhead Corvette has been around for like decades, I think, at this point. We saw them yeah, there you go. We saw
Mm-hmm.
them in Knights of the Republic. We actually saw them in Rebels as well, which ties into like the Rogue One stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that one, Armada. Thank you. Um, so I was buying those, and then I'm like, okay, but like I kind of want to display them like fleet wise, like have a little setup and have some support ships and some more like capital ships. I'm like, where? Like
Yeah.
where am I doing this?
Yeah.
So I do have some of those display, including those in one of the detail sections. And Admiral Thrawn is on the background, so I have like a little mock, space battle going on, like Imperial versus Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, dude, I would love to have just like a giant desk, just set up with a bunch of these. But yeah, again, just space.
Yeah. I've watched videos on Star Trek ones because I love
Oh
Star Trek
yeah, I
ships
bet.
too. And just having those on display, like the little Hot Wheel type ones that are like die cast, like they look so cool. It'd be great to have, but it's like, how do you display it? Where do you display it? And I feel like the terrible part about a lot of us that are in this community is our fandoms are large, but we
Oh yeah,
also we collect so many different scale things. Like if you didn't collect Black Series or Vintage Collection, like if you didn't collect action figures, yeah,
yeah,
you could probably have a full ship collection because that would take up the space.
yeah.
But because you do figures, because you do vehicles, because you do helmets, it f's you up. It just
Oh
f's up
yeah,
the whole game. Um,
yep.
the last one I want to talk about in the realm of collecting that I know you've dabbled in a little bit. This end of the
Yeah.
field. Where you at with Hot Toys?
Uh, I try not to look at this page like at all. So I was actually talking about this on Saturday on the stream. If you scroll down, oh no, right there, besides Thrawn, that's Stormtrooper.
The
Between
Rebels one.
Thrawn and, yeah, the Rebels one. Um, the Rebels one, I like the look of it. First of all, I know I said that many times, but I do like the look. Um, and what I'm trying to say is, I like that they're trying to emulate the look of the show, right? Like
Yeah.
they're not being shy about it, like they've done in past iterations. Um, so I like the way it looks. From the pictures, I like the posability of it. I
Yeah.
mean, that toe crunch right there. I mean, that's something. If that's true, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I actually kind of like the base. Like I know it's simple. I know it's not a whole lot of detail, but I'm actually kind of down with the customizable part of it, right? Like you can insert your own graphic, like on it, and $165, like that's not bad, that's not bad, because the last regular Stormtrooper that they offered, yes, it was, more details, of course, because it's the movie based, and it's the Death Star panels on the background. But even that one was what, two
Mm-hmm.
forty, two
Mm-hmm.
fifty, something like that. So we're still talking about, like an $80 difference. So for one, what is this one, 165, I think.
Mm-hmm.
it's, I don't know, man. Like that's not a bad deal in my book. Um, but as I mentioned, I'm more excited to see where this particular line goes. There's obviously a lot of animated stuff that they can produce, right? Uh, Plenty from Rebels, but I mean, if they start dabbling into like Clone Wars, imagine. I mean, they got stuff for years. And if they hover around this price point, I would think they're gonna be popular.
Well, I just realized that this is a Hondo Studio figure. Are they the
Yeah.
ones that made the Anakin and Obi-Wan before? Actually, I don't think so.
The Clone Wars one, I don't know. Actually, I don't think so. I know which one you're talking about because I was talking about them too.
Yeah.
The
Actually,
ones with
your
the
review talked me out of them. To be honest.
There you go. Glad I helped.
Yeah.
The yeah, I mean the portrait was good. Like it did look like the
Oh,
animated,
Sideshow.
but yeah, I think they were sideshow. You're right. But you know, it wasn't quite there. Some of the scale is what I didn't understand. Those hands, they had like baby hands. I think it was Anakin who had like the baby hands,
He does, yeah.
and I'm like, dude, why? Like these are like 40% smaller than Obi-Wan's. Like it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the eyes, like the effect on the eyes, just was not. Yeah, I don't think this picture does it justice. You can see it a little bit on the Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
but not so much on the Anakin. But both of them had it. That like eyeliner all around. I'm not sure what it was, but it looked kind of funky.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, if we get a simplified version of this, right? One and again, you know, we probably won't get a whole bunch of hands. We probably won't get like alternate portraits, right? But if it looks like the one in the show, and again at the 165, 175 range, that's not a bad display piece, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I've been good with the hot toys. I did buy one recently, but it was a used from one of the members from the Spice Runners Lounge, and it's the Shadow Stormtrooper. So basically, the
Mm.
Stormtrooper all black,
Yeah.
without the base. That's the only thing. It didn't have the Death Star panel basing, so I got a great deal on it. Which actually I paid around 150 for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying, like, if they keep going with this price point, I'm like, I might be in trouble.
Yeah. No, and even, you know, in the realm of an army builder, the fact that if they do scale the pricing and something like a Stormtrooper is cheaper than everybody
Mhm.
else, perfectly fine. That's how it should be. You know,
Agreed.
they should encourage you to buy more than one.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you think about it, like you can get the regular Stormtrooper, and you could get yourself a Stormtrooper squad leader, right? Just around the price point of some of these like deluxe, right? Like the some of the bigger figures. Like that's not quite right. It's still more expensive, but still, like you're in the realm. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so again, you know, if they keep going with the pricing, yeah, see that Stormtrooper right there with the panels on the back. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, Shadow Trooper they call it. Um, but yeah, when I saw that one up for sale, I was like, yeah, I kind of have to have it. The Shadow Trooper is one of my favorite versions of any trooper.
Yeah.
Um, so I jumped on that. But yeah, besides that, I've been good. But yeah, that those portraits, man, they get you.
Yeah. This one I sent you the video from
Yeah.
tested when they were testing a lens completely unrelated to Star Wars. And they're like, "Oh, let's test it on this hot toy figure." And I was like, I forgot about this figure and I didn't realize how good it looked. Like
Yeah, no
it's
kidding, man, no kidding. Um, yeah. So so because I'm not a connoisseur, but is Hano Studio a whole different company? Is it just being sold through Hot Toys and Sideshow?
yeah, that's what it seems like. Ultra Carter says you need to talk about Hondo, General Kenobi, and since I mentioned that about Terminator Zero, you may never know, but there is a potential they can do non-Star Wars. So I guess they do
Okay.
other stuff.
Well, they
Uh,
did Marvel, right? They had a few offerings there.
mhm. And then I know Patrick said something. Oh, here it is. Oh, it's a Hano Studio. Makes sense why it's 165. So yeah, I guess it's a cheaper premium figure.
Nice. Yeah. Hey,
I'm down.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind for
That's
sure.
the thing. We need some cheaper options on the
Agree.
premium side of things.
Did you see that Spider-Man from them also?
Let's go back.
So if you click on Hano Studios, they got yeah,
Wow,
right?
200 bones. It's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. That one you get more accessories with, of course, but and bendable web.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I mean, it looks good. The colors look good. The details look, good. And granted, it's not a highly detailed, um, um, figure to make, right, or character, but still, again for $200, like brand new, I think that's not bad.
Actually, we didn't get a. Sorry, last thing. I swear. And we can be quick. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. Like, have you watched this Spider-Man cartoon?
Only the first 2 episodes.
Oh, you gotta keep going.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I was talking about it in the group. And it's funny, on one of my, somewhere on social media, somebody commented that it would have been a 10 out of 10 for them if not for the first 2 episodes. And I was like,
Oh,
oh,
what?
I was like, interesting. Okay. And I was like, I
mean,
don't hate that take, because it truly gets better as it goes on.
that's I mean, I don't get me wrong, like I was sold on the first 2 episodes. The only reason why I haven't watched it is because I promised the kid that we would watch it together.
Yeah.
And he just keeps jumping on back to like SpongeBob whenever we have time. So I keep trying to sway him to pick it up, but I definitely do want to finish it. I mean, I was good with the first 2 episodes.
Me too. Yeah.
And I actually kind of, and I think you talked about it on your show when they came out. I actually kind of appreciate the take on this, proto suit like type of thing,
Yes.
right? Um, I was like, dude, I like it. This is what he would do,
Mm-hmm.
with $20 under his name. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is the best solution he could probably come up. I absolutely love the pressurized tank, in the
Yep.
back, the supply hoses just hanging out. He's got a backpack because he still needs to carry stuff. Like, I was here for all of this. Actually, I really like the look on this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hope this is a popular cosplay this year. Like it.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like this is one of those easy ones to make.
agreed.
I will tell you this as a disclaimer. There's an episode in it where, depending on what you let your kid watch, it might be too graphic.
Okay.
I'm not sure if your kid has crossed the PG-13 level of
Mm,
action
occasionally, but
and
not on
blood.
a. Yeah, no, I was gonna say if there's blood,
Yeah.
that might be a
Oh,
no-no.
there's blood. Watch it on your own
Nice.
first.
All right. Yeah, I probably should do that.
Yeah, but it really picks up. It really picks up.
Nice.
And then last one's Daredevil. Where you at? Have you started Daredevil? Interested in
I have
Daredevil?
not. I have not. Just because you keep saying it's so good, so I'm like, I don't want to. I can't go through the pain of waiting another week again.
Yeah.
So I'm letting them build up a little bit, and then I probably will go in. To be honest, there's only so much time I can resist.
The spoilers, dude. I'm telling you that this is one where you're gonna have to eat it and just go week to week, because the things that have happened in the first 3 episodes alone,
Oh yeah,
like if those were spoiled, I would have been pissed.
gotcha.
Pissed. So if I were you, do your best. Try to work it in your rotation.
Nice. Yeah, I might have to.
Yeah.
I finished Invincible. I enjoyed that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was pretty fun. Like I said, I appreciate that they didn't make us wait freaking 3 years between seasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it was what, like 6 months, maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit more. So I really appreciated that. So I finished that. But so yeah, I'm up for, and that one I was catching up, like the last 3 episodes. I were on a week to week. Like I jumped in like halfway into it. Um, because of the same thing, like people kept posting, clips of obviously of the fights and stuff, and I was like, all right, I just gotta bite, bite the
Yeah.
bullet and just go in. And I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I really do like what they do with the show for the most part. I felt there was a little bit too much repetition on this season, but overall, I enjoyed it. It was fun. But yeah, man, now you're making me wanna. Maybe I need to do that tonight. Maybe I need to jump into Daredevil tonight.
Yeah. So Invincible's next on my list. That is
Nice.
I told everybody, I was like, I don't want to start Invincible. I stopped at, I watched season 2 part 1, the 1st
Mhm.
block, and then they did like a year break in between.
Yeah.
Which it's funny they acknowledged that in the advertising, like, why did we do that?
Yeah.
I was one of the ones they lost in that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to start Invincible until I finish The Boys, because
Okay. Yeah.
I stopped The Boys at season 2 when it was first airing, so I was way behind.
Oh yeah, you had to.
But I was like, too many people like this show for me to be like, it's not that good. I have
Yeah.
to try it. And sure enough, I got hooked.
Okay, I was gonna say, did you actually like it? Because I was like, and I hated it. It was a waste of time.
No, the I could have done without the Generation V show. Like, I feel like that's the general consensus of it. That
Yeah, I haven't watched it, and you're right. That's why, like, I kept hearing they're like, it's there.
Are you up to date on The Boys?
Yeah.
They talk more about the V virus thing, and there's some characters that appear in the last 2 episodes that they're from that show.
Gotcha.
But it's not necessary. Like, it's one of those, like, you're fine if you've made it this far.
Yeah,
But
I didn't watch it. And like I said, I didn't really bump too much into it. So.
Yeah, they do a good job with that. But
Mhm.
I mean, and yeah, R.I.P. to that actor from the show. He died in real life.
Oh yeah.
They the parallels of that show to real life are just mind blowing. Just
Really?
absolutely mind blowing. Of The Boys, not Gen V.
Oh, of The Boys, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I know. It's yeah. No, I hear you.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Especially nowadays, it seems.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I was thinking about it the other day. Like, there's a one scene where the guy shows up at the Starlight place. This isn't a spoiler. He shows up at the Starlight campaign place or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Hey, where are the kids?" And they're like, "What?" He's like, "I know you're keeping kids in the basement." And I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that's right. There was that pizza thing that people swore there was a pizzeria in DC with kids in the basement." Like,
Yep.
it just, you're like, wow, that's really what people thought. And you look at it and you're like, this is ridiculous. But then you're like, oh wow, people still think this stuff. And there's things happening or happened in the show that are happening now that you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
people think that's real.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very much so, dude. Very, very much so. Yeah. No, I agree. It's like you said. It's one of those things that. Do you remember Watchmen, the TV show,
Mhm.
HBO?
Yeah.
Is it HBO? Anyway, the actual TV show from a couple years back that that showed the uh, I guess the massacre basically, right, of what they referred to as like Black Wall
Wall
Street, right?
Street. Yeah.
Um, and people, I remember, dude, like immediately after the episode, because I actually watched it like that day or
In real time.
yeah, exactly, like almost real time, maybe the next day early. And Twitter was blowing up. It's like, oh my god, like they went for it on this episode and stuff, and like, man, that was a crazy way to kick it off, and how creative and blah blah blah. Like, when do you come up with this stuff? And then you just see the replies like, bro, that's real, right? Like that happened. And then like a bunch of reaction videos like put out like a part 2 was like, holy crap, I just googled this, and
Mm-hmm.
sure enough, I'm like, dude, like seriously, like
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that you're like, oh my lord, like they went crazy for this show. Not really. Like they just open a history book and they adapted it, right? So yeah, I kind of got that vibe, like you said, from the some of the stuff, the PR war that they were having, right, against like Starlight and stuff like that. Um, yeah, sometimes a little bit too real.
Yeah. It's, and not, I've been getting pretty political online, so I'm trying to like reel it in a bit. But the a show that came out back in, I have to go based on who I was dating at the time. So I'm going to say that was probably 2018, was the the Netflix movie on the Central Park Five. And
Hmm.
it was a miniseries, and they made that really political at the time too because of like elections happening and stuff. Because and that's all pre BLM and all that stuff. This was
Yeah.
like before all of that, and I was struggling to watch more than I couldn't watch more than one episode in a sitting because I was just like, you're like, man, what's going on with these kids? Remembering that they're kids is so heavy, and then you remember it's not fiction. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And that's why history is important because you watch stuff and you're like, wow, that's so. Or there was the John Majors did that TV show that got canceled. I can't remember the name of it, but they were talking about the sunset towns,
Hmm.
and I had to look it up because I was like, "There's no way that's real." That like there were towns in America where, as a black guy, if the sun went down, you're dead,
Yeah.
legally
Yeah. Yeah.
dead. It was real. It's like,
Yep.
wow, yeah. So it's funny. Well, a lot of the shows, the Watchmen in particular, I remember I skipped it because everybody at the time, when the fandom menace, as they call it, came out and everything
Yeah.
was getting called woke and whatever, I skipped it because I was like, oh, all these people are saying it's woke trash. And
Hmm.
then, I watched it with my wife a couple months ago and we loved it. And I was like, what the?
Yeah.
I was like, I literally skipped the show because of like these ignorant people telling me that it sucks. And they had never even,
Bro.
those people never watched it.
No, I was gonna say they probably never made it past 2 minutes into it.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, man, now I'm kind of feeling like a rewatch. But that show is a lot, better than it has a right to be. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it was just too good, to be honest. I don't know how else to describe it. It was
Yeah.
so good. Um, and I remember like halfway into it, they did an interview, right, with the director, or with the showrunner, sorry, and then they're like, all right, so what can we expect for season two? He's like, there probably won't be one. He's like, I told the story I wanted to tell. Like, I think we did good, and he's like, we're just gonna move on to something else.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, this was like a passion project. We love what we did, but I feel that if we keep going, then it might not be that anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, like, who are you? Like, you don't like money? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. It happens.
No.
It happens too much, like these people put out something that's good, but it gets labeled so fast before
Yeah.
it even comes out. There's the one guy I will always remember. He made the comment on he was with Star Wars Theory on a video. I can't remember his name now, but he was like, oh no, like for example, Rings of Power, the Game of Thrones show. What I can't
Hmm.
remember the name of it. He's like, but yeah, I bashed it when they showed the all the woke stuff in it, and then I watched it and I was like, oh, it's actually really good. And I was
Yeah.
like, bro, I was watching your videos and I skipped it. and I'm like, that's what made me like start this whole campaign against all that stuff now is I'm like,
Yeah.
so many shows I skipped because people were like, nope, it's woke trash, don't do it. And then I'm like, what the fuck? These are good shows. And
Yep.
none of you have seen them.
Yeah,
None of
that's
you
the
have seen
thing,
them.
right? If at the end of the show you're like, hey man, you know what? This definitely wasn't for me because this isn't this, and I think
Right.
they overdid it here, or they just inserted, their agenda here. All right, that to me is a way more fair
Yes.
argument than, oh, whatever. We changed the gender of a character or something
Yeah.
like that. We announced it before the show even comes out. That's it. This
Yeah.
is crap.
Yeah.
Um, that if that's all it takes for you, okay, then I kind of feel sorry for you, right? Because you're
Yeah.
not going to give a lot of stuff a chance. But I agree with you. I always try to watch the stuff that I'm interested in, kind of regardless, and that doesn't always play out good. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is pretty trash. Like,
Yeah.
but I'll say that 3, maybe 4 episodes in, right, when I'm like, all right, I think I got enough here
Yeah.
to officially be able to say not for me.
Yeah.
Uh, but for the most part, no, I agree. I've enjoyed it, and then yeah, of course, there's always the naysayers, but I've enjoyed most of the stuff related to bigger IPs, lately. Like even Rings of Power. To be honest with you, I think I enjoyed, most of it. Is it perfect? No, but it's an addition to the lore. We're getting to learn stuff that we know was only like footnotes in
Hmm.
Tolkien's work, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it. Definitely not perfect, but I wouldn't call it, a POS either, by no
Yeah,
means.
yeah. Just gotta give stuff a try. Anybody
Yeah.
who's everybody who's like bashing things before they come out without any tangible. Oh,
Yeah.
the prequel was terrible. Oh, the franchise is terrible. If it's just out of nowhere because they're just gonna judge the exterior of the book,
Yeah.
cover of the book, like it's not worth it. Ignore them and just give it a shot on your own. And that's where I feel like Acolyte made it tough because it got judged prematurely. Turns out
Hmm.
some of the judgments were a bit correct, but
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, you know what? Lightsaber fight between the stranger and all the Jedi, I still thought was freaking amazing. So I didn't
Yeah.
give a shit. Anybody who's like, oh, I canceled my Disney Plus, I didn't watch that show. I'm like, you missed out on one of the best lightsaber fights.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
dude,
show was
I
terrible,
still
but
rewatch, clips of that. Like I
yeah,
still enjoy
it
that.
was still fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's the thing, right? Well, in general, I always try to find, the fun in something, right? Like, yeah,
yeah,
it might not, it might not be for me, but I'm like, you know what? They had this cool scene or they had this cool dialogue. Like,
yeah,
I'll take that away from it and then just move on to the next thing and be done.
yeah,
um, as opposed to, hey, take out the torches and pitchforks.
yeah,
um, I'm like, dude, maybe because I'm old again, but I'm like, I just don't have the energy for that, man. Like, if I just don't like it, I'm like, all right, there's 350 other things coming out right now, so go try something else.
yeah.
um, but yeah, again, that might just be me.
But none of what we said counts for Skeleton Crew. F Skeleton Crew. Hey,
It's
you're one of the people that did. I saw the other side because you were like, my kid enjoyed it, and for as much
Yeah,
bashing as I did of the
yeah,
show, I was like, you know what? If it does work,
yeah,
if this show does get a couple more kids into Star Wars,
yeah.
I give it its win.
Yep. Yeah, to be honest with you, and I said it before, it's not a
Yeah,
not a secret or anything. If that wasn't there, I would have watched it. Yes, I would have watched it. But definitely my rating would have been, considerably lower. But like I said, it was just watching him get excited about, the kids running around and, little space Dumbo like winning his heart. It was a combination of things, right? Like
yeah,
I was in love with it through his eyes, right? Like it was like a contagious thing. Um, and yeah, I like I said it, at the time, it definitely would have been different if it would have been just me, right?
yeah,
Like watching the show. Um, but no, I agree, and I think it did good overall in the like in the community, in the fandom.
yeah,
Um, I think it soothed some of the some of the hot spots, right? Uh, Probably not enough, but it did. I feel that it pushed us in a good direction overall. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, so I call that a win because, again, after Acolyte, man, we needed a win. We needed,
something.
we needed to, yeah, exactly. We needed something to just enjoy, like actually enjoy, let it be fun, maybe not think about it too much, and kind of just move on. I was like, okay, we're done with this. What's next, right?
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it didn't do super great, right, when it comes to the ratings, but I feel, oh, sorry, to the viewership. But I feel that the reviews overall were like, yeah, you know what, it was fine. It was fun.
yeah, yeah. No, I had fun bashing it. I just feel
Yeah,
like you said, I'm ready to see lightsabers cut people in half.
yeah.
And it's been too long since I've enjoyed a
No, I
show
agree.
that has
I
that.
agree. I agree totally. I'm sure you saw it, but there's that rumor about, oh, maybe they will actually develop like a Star Wars horror film, type of thing. Um, I'm like, one, it won't be horror as you're thinking of horror, right?
Yeah.
Like, if anything, it might be a little bit like darker tone. Um, but at the same time, I'm like, they kind of sort of tried that with Acolyte, and
Yeah.
look how that turned out. So
Yeah.
if this happens, and that's a big if, it's not gonna be for a while. Like,
No.
it's, it's gonna, yeah.
People, what a lot of people don't understand, and I one of the videos I put on Instagram that a lot of people are interacting with is Bobby Vala, who makes Valaverse, talking
Hmm.
about, it's a clip of him talking about licensing, and some people are like, "Oh, he's not saying anything. He wasted my time." And I'm like, if you do it, you know what? Go watch the whole thing then at that point. But you know, he even talked about it, and I encourage people to always seek out seek the truth, right? Like look for
Yep.
people that give you behind the scenes information. And he's one of the many people who has said in the toy community of people who make toys
Hmm.
that getting approvals from Marvel is not the same as getting approvals from Star Wars. Sorry, getting the Marvel approval on things is not the same as getting a Star Wars approval on things. Yes,
Right.
the banner of Disney's there, but they're two very different entities. And getting stuff approved on the Star Wars end, they have their own vision. Everything has to be kiddie. Everything is like follows these rules. It's harder. And yes, we got Deadpool on this end. We've crossed the rated R threshold on the Marvel
Yeah.
side. Does not mean they're going to do that on the Disney side on the Star Wars side under Disney.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the same approval
No.
chain of command. So until that chain changes,
Yeah.
the
Then
horror is
maybe.
not going to be the horror we want.
Yeah, I know. No. I mean, even, yeah, now I'm blanking out who said it, but they even said, like, even cinematography wise, right? Like, we
Mm-hmm.
have to emulate certain shots that George did, back in the day. Like, they gotta be there,
Yeah.
in everything we do, they gotta be there. Because like you said, we're, it's a vibe, it's a feeling that we have to convey with everything we do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, so very very much so. And the people are like, oh, why don't they make like, you know um, uh, I don't know, a zombies, like, Star Wars. I'm like, there's stories out there, Ahsoka. I don't know where they're gonna go with that. That's the most far-fetched thing I've seen, in the actual, I guess, canon right now. But even then, I can promise you, it's gonna be way milder than
Watered
whatever you're
down.
thinking of.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
whatever, whatever your expectations are. Trust me, it's not gonna be that.
Yeah.
It's definitely not gonna be that. Um, but yeah, I agree. We I hope that we can find like an outlet for those type of stories, right? For those type of visual, differences that we would want to explore. Uh, they started off a little bit with like Visions and Tales of, but even those, still adhere to some of the rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that's gonna look like, if at all. um I think about Marvel's What If, right? And of course people are go immediately to, oh, why don't they make, like a Star Wars What If. I'm like, first of all, there's comic books that did that, go check them out. But second, multiverse stuff is intertwined with, Marvel's like characters, right? Like, it's part of their fabric of the realm of comic books, right? To have a like a multiverse, anything. um Star Wars, not so much. Star Wars hasn't really ever dealt with, alternate timelines, traveling between universes and stuff like that. So I'm like, I think it's a harder pill to swallow when you try to cross it over to Star Wars.
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, again, I'm not sure what it will look like, but I do hope that we can start finding an outlet for a little bit more original stories.
I'm down for them to do it though. At this point, because I've seen Star Trek succeed at that
Yeah,
with the TV
very much so.
shows. So
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
because they were able to make it work, I'm like, you know what, Disney, let's try.
Yeah.
Let's try.
Yep. Yep.
Any final things you want to cover before we wrap tonight's episode,
Let me think.
or
No,
even
I don't think
promote?
so. We so I dropped a couple of videos actually over the weekend. I did good, man. I did 2 videos over the weekend. I was like,
Hey, let's
I'm
go.
proud of myself. Yeah, it's been like a year since I've done that. But yeah, so we actually. Oh, I guess I should shout him out. I had a company called Wolf Case send me
Hmm.
some of this stuff here that you see. I'm actually rocking it just for for clarification. So they sent me 3 cases, for my phone, in order to review them. They're actually pretty good. Like I said, it may sound bad, but they're actually better than I thought they were gonna be. So check out the full review video on it. They got a ton of models on their website. Wolf Case, first of all, thank you for these, and yeah, check them out. Like I said, it's actually a pretty nice product. Their graphics are really good. And then I dropped a little bit of a toy hunt, which man, it feels like it's been like 2 years since I
Forever.
put out like an actual toy hunt video.
Yep.
Um, this was about a one of our local toy shows. It was good. I actually found a couple of nice gems. Spoilers, I can just because you're nice to me. Um, I did find an autographed Darth Vader, autographed by Dave Prowse, and I was not expecting to see that at this,
Hmm.
sort
Small
of like
show.
small toy show. Yeah, exactly. And dude, I was tempted. You can see it on the video, but it was $150, and I was like, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Um, but dude, yeah, it took everything I had. But I'm like, dude, Japan is like literally in 4 weeks, so
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't. I gotta be good. I gotta be good at least till then. Um, but yeah, and well, maybe I can announce a few things coming up here. So, guys, in case you don't know, we are going to be out and about this year for a lot of conventions. So, if you're in San Antonio, you're probably going to see us around here. We got a ton of local shows, but some of the outside of town shows that we are going to be covering are Rebels Comic Con, which happens in Frisco, Texas, August 8th through the 10th. Get your tickets. They're still announcing guests. It's going to be a great show. They've revamped it from last year, so it's going to be great. We did a live with the people behind it a couple of weeks back here on General Kenobis Bunker, and they actually announced 3. We have the record, by the way, of 3 guest announcements. 3 pirates from Skeleton Crew, and they've actually one of them has been in a ton of stuff. He was actually in that scene with the Joker when he's dressed up as a police officer on
Mm.
Dark Knight. He was
Hmm.
actually like right there too, which was random. But anyway, um, ICCC, so the Imperial Commissary Collector Con, over in Nashville. That's going to be in May. Blanking out on the dates right now. It's in the middle of May. Um, that's also going to be a great show. We do have the aforementioned NostalgiaCon in Houston, also in August. So August is going to be kind of tricky.
Hmm.
Um, and at some point, I wish I had the dates for you, but I don't. There will be Superhero Comic Con here in town and also Space Con. It's set to return this year. I don't know how they're gonna top, last year where they had Ewan McGregor, Hayden, and Rosario, amongst many others. So I don't know what they're doing for this year, but it's got to be big. And so yeah, we're gonna be out on several of these shows. Like I said, if you see us, stop by, get a sticker, say hi, all of that good stuff. Get a selfie with me. It's still free, but just this year. So yeah, appreciate you all for all the support. Thank you, and hope to see you out there.
Yeah. No, you last year was a good year for the great general, and I think this year is going to be even
That was
better.
crazy.
Um
Appreciate it.
I mean, we've talked about it numerous times. You went from being nervous on a live stream to interviewing Star Wars actors, video game actors, anime actors in the course of what, maybe 3 year difference timeline wise.
Yeah. So let me correct you there. Being nervous on your stream, 'cause yours was the first stream I ever did.
But I mean, that's a huge jump in less than 5 years time. So, kudos to you.
Appreciate it.
Like I said, this year is going to be a big one for you.
Thank you.
Celebration in
Thank you.
Japan is going to be huge for you.
Oh,
I'm
dude,
excited you're
yeah.
going with your family. I think that's pretty awesome. And
Yeah, yeah, same, same. It's one of those things where yes, of course, Star Wars Celebration, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. It's on the smaller side of celebrations. So appreciate you, WP, Good night, brother. Um, but now I think I'm most excited about like my kid, experiencing, uh, another country, another culture, um, anything from like, of course, like the food, the
Hmm.
everything, right? So I'm fairly excited for to witness that, right? Like to see what he thinks, and how he comes out different, right, like after this trip. So
Yeah,
yeah, very much looking forward to it.
game changer. That's
I think
and
so.
for a kid, that's a game changer. Just culture shock, and
Yeah,
that's how you learn. That's how you learn that there's just different people out there.
exactly. Yep. Yeah, yeah, very much so.
I love that. I thought this year would be my ICCC year. I think it's gonna have to be next year, but who knows? Maybe last minute things will change. We'll
Yeah.
we'll
Hey,
see.
like I said, we got several other good events, lining up the rest of the year. We got quite a bit here in Texas too. So
Texas is where it's at.
we
It's
got
where it's at.
airports. Come down.
I got to stop being lazy. That's my problem. I haven't even I haven't even been to Boston Comic Con since like 2019. So it's one
Really?
of those where I'm in my old age. I'm getting I'm becoming a recluse. I'm just like, I'm just gonna stay home. Like I'll watch videos online, but
Dude, yeah. No, I feel on that one because that's how I was. But like last year, it just kind of opened the floodgates. So at the beginning of this year, I went on a just like off the top of my head, I'm like, all right, which shows I'm fairly certain that we're gonna be at, right? Or that I want to be in. And I went down the list, and dude, it was like 10 conventions, and I'm talking about like conventions, right? I'm not talking about like the local weekend event here in town. I was like, no, like flat out conventions. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna die out there. Um, let alone flights and PTO, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So I was like, nah,
mhm.
let's scale it down. Let's be
Yeah.
a little bit more selective. Um, but yeah, dude, you need to make it out to one of these. They're super fun, and and I've said it a thousand times too. But the fun part is always it's like summer camp, right? You get to see your buddies, you all get to geek out together, and for the span of a weekend, right? And it's just magical. Like it's there's nothing like it. The con might not be great, if you want to look at it that way, like worst case, but you're still hanging out with your buddies. You're still looking at toys. You're still meeting some actors, stuff like that. Spending money you don't have, like it's great.
Yeah. No, that's what it's about. That is what it's about. It's the journey. It's the journey. So
Exactly.
I love that.
The journey into
Um,
bankruptcy.
yeah, that's for sure. Um, to Cutthroat, yes, we are. I am up to date. Kenobi will start soon enough,
Oh yeah,
and yeah, Patrick, you gotta get those conventions locked up pretty soon.
yeah,
Um,
man,
but this was a happy accident,
for
will of
sure.
the force, and I'm glad we got a chance to do this as we both flee our zip codes, our
Yeah,
respective zip
right.
codes.
Exactly. Yeah, dude.
um,
No, I appreciate the invite.
tell everybody what's the schedule again for your lives
Yeah, so we
outside
try
of
to
this
go.
week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Not for this week. So don't pay attention for this week.
Yeah.
But pretty much we like to go live every Wednesday around 8:30 p.m. Central on our regularly scheduled show called The High Ground. I also try to do at least one more stream each week. For the most part, it's usually on Saturday nights, which I like to call just the late night hangout. There's no real structure. We just come in, we just chat about whatever is going on, things like that. And I definitely need to keep going on my toy talk because, like you mentioned, I haven't been really covering, toy news and stuff like that. So look out for any other spot, during the week for another live show there. We also, we do toy reviews, we do toy hunts, we do, trailer reactions. We do. I forgot to tell you my reaction to that fan film, the
Yeah,
212.
it's doing well.
Yeah, I was like, why? Like I didn't even talk. I was like, oh, that's awesome, and it ends, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like credits. But yeah, I was not expecting that one. But I guess so. We obviously like to focus on Star Wars, but we do cover other type of content too. Also, starting next month, it's gonna kick into high gear for conventions. Content. we're gonna go to Japan, so expect a bunch of posts. So I'm sorry if I'm spamming you, but I don't get to go to Japan that often. And we're definitely gonna be covering, of course, Japan celebration. And then, like I mentioned, we got plenty of other conventions lined up for this year. So yeah, check us out again, General Kenobis Bunker here on YouTube.
Love that. I can't wait for all that. I will be extremely jealous, to say the least, seeing that coverage. But thank you once again, General Kenobi, for jumping on the stream. Thank you, all of you, for jumping on a Monday versus a Thursday. To steal a line from the General, HeyArcher live every Thursday, except this week, but normally every Thursday, 8:15 p.m. here on Nerd Affiliated. We have some more unboxings. We have some more Ghostbuster videos coming pretty soon. So if you're into the Ghostbuster modding, of course, down below, tools and talent props, get yourself 15% off your purchase. I'll be doing a install from something new I got from them today, actually. So that's gonna be a good time. And let's try to get some more nerdy coffees out. That's my plan. Yeah, I miss them too. I miss them too. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, HeyArcher Live, and whatever other shows we end up doing. You guys make the show great. You guys are awesome. And might be a merch drop this week. Like, comment, subscribe, talk to all you nerds in the next video. Peace. We're out of here. Actually, you know what? I'll let you take us out.
May the force be with you. Always.
What? More specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, and more beer.
Yeah, come on, push a button. Push the goddamn button.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.